Well, good morning. I'm so excited for today because I'm going to be riding kind of around Greater Los Angeles without going into Greater Los Angeles. I'm going to be riding through various mountain ranges and hopefully avoiding heavy traffic everywhere I go. So I'm starting at Mount San Jacinto State Park, heading north to Banning and Beaumont, and then into the San Bernardino National Forest to the resort community of Big Bear Lake. I then go west through Running Springs to Cajun Junction. There I found that Highway 2 was closed due to snow, so I detoured northwest to outside Little Rock, taking Mount Etna and Angeles Forest roads to the Monte Cristo campground where I spent the night. So as I'm leaving my campsite this morning in beautiful Idlewild, I want to reflect on something that I discovered last night. After I'd set up my tent and laid out all my stuff and was ready to go to sleep, really, I went down to the bathroom, and on the way back, I noticed on this bulletin board, plague. And I thought, what? Do they mean plague like in Black Death? And yes, they do. So it turns out that there is plague in California. But it's not actually just in California either. I discovered it's fairly widespread. So what happened is back around 1920, there were rats on ships coming from the old world that ended up getting loose in California. And then they spread the Black Death from the rats into the squirrel population. So squirrels and chipmunks potentially carry Black Death. So Black Death is actually carried by the fleas, which are on these rodents. And so, yeah, you can actually get Black Death. It's not very likely, but it does happen. Apparently, since its introduction, there's been over 1,000 confirmed or probable cases of human plague, bubonic plague, in 80% of those cases. So it's a real concern. However, this is California. California always posts notices about everything. You can't pick up a child's toy without it saying it could be cancer causing. So you have to take these things for what they are. Plague now is curable with antibiotics, so it's not a death sentence, but you do have to be treated. Some people have died because they weren't treated early enough. So I guess it's one of those things, and you just have to be aware of it. So if you start developing certain symptoms, make sure you go to a doctor. So just to be clear, the risk is very low, but it does make you think. And one of the things I noticed after seeing the sign is, it says avoid contact with squirrels. Well, the squirrels had burrows all around my campsite, so I wasn't really going to avoid them. In fact, earlier in the day, I'd seen some on a tree and I was trying to film them, but they kept hiding on me. So go figure. Anyway, I survived and carried on. So enough on that topic. Time to get back to our regularly scheduled motorcycle adventure commentary. So far, these mountain roads have been everything I was hoping for. Scenic views, lots of twisty turns, and very little traffic for being this close to Riverside and Greater LA. I made my way out of the mountains to Banning, Beaumont, and Calimesa with very little trouble, and soon I found myself heading back to the mountains. The San Bernardino National Forest beckoned. And I needed to make a stop just to switch out from my summer riding gloves back to some warm gloves. Ta-da! All set. Yeah, it doesn't seem to matter where I am. I can be just outside LA. I will find snow. Now, mind you, I'm at 8,000 feet, which is about 2.4 kilometers up above sea level. And the ocean's not that far away, so I guess it's not too surprising. It just strikes me as odd, though, to be this close to LA and encounter snow. Next up was Big Bear Lake, they have an extensive boardwalk along the waterfront, so naturally I walked it. The town of Big Bear Lake is pretty much what you would expect for a resort community in the mountains. They did, however, have the Lodge Podge, and I'm always a sucker for these kinds of tourist attractions, so check it out when you're in the area. The road between Big Bear Lake and Running Springs was excellent for motorcycles. Lots of scenic views and lots of twisty turns. You're basically going through an area in the mountains that's probably used year-round. There's a lot of snow activities here for in the winter time, and in the summer I imagine the hiking is just spectacular. This close to LA, I'm glad I was here in the shoulder season in late April. Sorry for repeating myself, but I just can't believe how much snow there is this close to LA. I never knew that. I've seen these mountains so many times on the map, and I've never, I guess, ridden through them. So, new experience, new lesson. LA is not just a hot place. You can get winter sports here as well, and that's pretty fantastic. Look how much snow there is. I mean, it's right on the side of the road. Here I'm going to go through a water crossing that you kind of hope that there's no ice there. So, who would have thunk it? Pretty cool. After the town of Running Springs, Highway 18 becomes known as Rim of the World Highway, and that's due to its spectacular views along the ridgeline of the mountains, looking down over Los Angeles. So it's quite spectacular here. One thing I noticed here, perhaps because this area is not really as remote as many of the places I've traveled, is that instead of having pullouts everywhere, there would be commercial buildings in those spots, hotels or other things. There were still some pullouts, but not as many. I actually stopped at a school. It was the Rim of the World School between Sky Forest and Rim Forest. And it was there I was looking for sort of getting my bearings. And I talked to a woman who was there and asking her about, the pullouts. And she said there was a good pullout just ahead. And it was actually where she got married. Not where she got married, where her husband proposed to her. So, of course, I had to go there. And you can find it on Google Maps. It's listed as the Red Rock Scenic Overlook. Yeah, this is beautiful. I think her husband is a true romantic. So I'm now on Highway 138, heading northward towards Silverwood Lake, and also downwards out of the San Bernardino Mountains. So the roads here, super twisty, super exciting, but I want to focus just a little bit on the woman and her husband. I mean, these are the kinds of things that make traveling so enjoyable, is a random encounter with someone in a strange setting. They come out of the school probably just dropping off some paperwork for their kids or whatnot, and here's a stranger on a motorcycle and they just strike up a little conversation, and she gives me a great tip on what to look at and also a personal story. And I really enjoy those moments. Anyway, coming out of the mountains was a lot of fun, and then I went through the flat until I was on my way to explore more mountains over by Mount San Antonio and the Angeles National Forest. Oh, this is a turn of events. The road is closed. Oh, I'll have to take alternatives. Too bad. This looks like it was going to be fun. With Highway 2 closed at Big Pines, I needed to take a detour, which was on the Big Pines Highway, north towards Vallejermo. That it was closed for snow, I suppose, was not too surprising. Right at Big Pines, there's a couple of ski resorts, so you're in the mountains, and these things happen. It's too bad. On the map, Highway 2 looked really exciting. Not only that, but Highway 39 from 2 going south towards Falling Springs, that looked pretty cool too. So maybe the next time I'm down here in the summer, I'll take a ride on both those roads and let you know what they're like. For sure though, on a motorcycle, If you need to close a road due to snow, I don't want to be traveling on it. Not with these tires. They say when one door closes, another door opens. And this route was quite interesting too. So, what can you regret? You're out to enjoy and experience new things, and that's exactly what I did. There's no getting around it. Sometimes you just have to pull over and admire the view. So Big Pines Highway was not something I had intended to be on, but turned out to be the road I needed. It was filled with these sharp turns and switchbacks, and the scenery was just fantastic. It was a great way to sort of end the afternoon. I was going at a kind of easy pace for me, not traveling as much ground as I usually might, but everything was so nice and enjoyable, and I really got out and looked around a bit, which I maybe don't do as much as I need to. Look at this turn here. It's just a beautiful sweeping turn, but quite sharp. Have to watch your speed a little bit. And no cars right now, although this is a road that gets cars. It's so close to Los Angeles, and it's between two populated areas. I think a fair number of people take this route. After passing through Vallejo, I found myself on more pedestrian roads for a while, until I was back in the mountains on the Angeles Forest Highway. One distinction here, this is a true commuter road for traffic going to work in the morning and at night. And that was a bit different for me, but I guess I can see it. You have these bedroom communities on the far side of the mountains. It's probably cheaper to live there or just available housing. And so people make the long trek through this to get to work every day. I, however, was looking for a different respite, a camp for the night, and I found it at the Monte Cristo campsite, a lovely spot to stop for the night. Hey, I hope you liked the video. If you did, hit the like button, leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next ride.